this. We also wanted to get the perspective of someone who's American and who's Muslim, so it's more personal perhaps. He is an outspoken critic of President Trump, just to be upfront, and he's a critic of this policy. I wanted to ask, does he feel attacked? Could this affect, in his view, the standing of the U.S. around the world? These are his opinions. I put some questions to Arsalan Iftikhar, a senior fellow at Georgetown University. Arsalan, this was the decision everybody was waiting for this term from the Supreme Court. It pleased some, it displeased many others. What's your reaction?
Well, I'm not surprised that this conservative Supreme Court would rule 5-4 in favor of the Muslim travel ban. I think it's one of the most racist Supreme Court decisions in a long time. And I think that it's important to keep in mind that our Supreme Court has had a long history of racist Supreme Court decisions, starting in 1857 with the Dred Scott case, which said that Black Americans couldn't be citizens of the U.S.
Let me present the counter, and you tell me what you think. Many people say, listen, this was not only Muslim-majority countries, this was the third iteration. The justices took pains to even overturn things that in the past have gone against certain people of certain ethnicities or origins. And they say this is not racist, it's just common sense.
It's not common sense at all, particularly because of the fact that the Muslim-majority countries that were listed, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen, we have not had one terrorist attack in this country by a national from any of those countries. The window dressing of Venezuela and North Korea is exactly that. It's window dressing. It's also important to keep in mind that you have to look at Donald Trump's long history of Islamophobic statements. He once famously told CNN's Anderson Cooper that, quote, Islam hates us. He was the one who started the Muslim birther controversy against President Barack Obama. He has surrounded himself with advisors like Steve Bannon and Sebastian Gorka and Michael Flynn, who have said things like Islam is a cancer and things like that. And so this has to be seen in its totality. And just because this piece of legislation did not exclusively have the word Muslim written in it, the justices should have known better.
Looking ahead, you have to wonder what impact this could potentially have on geopolitical relationships, not only with these, discrete number of countries, but possibly others. How do you see that?
Well, I mean, I think that Donald Trump, again, has, through his rhetoric and his policies and his advisors, has shown himself to be no friend to the Muslim world. I mean, there's 57 Muslim majority nations on the face of the earth, and this ruling is not going to help relations.
The Muslim faith is one of the fastest, if not the fastest, growing religion here in the U.S. Whether the president says he feels this way or not, many people within Islam feel like they have been targeted with this travel ban. What does this do to relations here at home?
I think that it just it empowers and it emboldens an entire subset of the American populace to lash out. And Muslims, just like people have been lashing out at Latinos and African Americans and the LGBT community, I think it's important for all minorities and persons of conscience to band together to ensure that these terrible pieces of legislation that are either coming out of the White House or Congress or the Supreme Court don't have a disparate impact at the grassroots level, and that all people are protected regardless of their backgrounds.
What do you think about or worry about the most when it comes to what could come next?
Well, to be honest with you, when the Supreme Court issues a ruling like this, then really it's only Congress that could overturn it. We've seen several prominent politicians, including Virginia Senator Mark Warner, who said that Congress must act to overturn the Muslim travel ban. Sadly, with the Republican conservative majority that's in both the House and Senate, I don't think that there is the political will for that.